I was going to ask you this. Who's entering 2022 as a champ and who's going to leave as a champ? Any of these people going to lose their belt? And if they do you think they regain it?
Okay. Jamie, get the rankings up.
That
Let's have a look
full
through
fight
the...
news.
Wasn't it, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, so who will be champion? I think Flyweight's going to move around a bit. I think you've got Moreno, Figueiredo, Askarov, and Pantoja that could all change that belt amongst themselves.
So do you reckon Moreno defends?
I think Moreno might lose the belt but win it back.
Okay.
And I think Figueiredo is probably going to move up to bantamweight if he loses this time around to Moreno.
Okay. Or loses the rematch when he loses it the second.
Well, okay, here's a prediction for you then. So Figueiredo is going to beat Moreno this next time around.
And then Figueiredo against
Pantoja.
Okay.
But he's going to miss weight and relinquish the belt, and then the belt will be vacant because he'll still beat Pantoja. Bantamweight, well, Sterling's the current champ. Peter Yan's the interim. I think Peter Yan's probably going to be the champion by the end of the year, although I do think Corey Sandhagen's probably going to be number one contender.
What about Dillashaw?
Yeah, I just don't know. I'm not massively sold on him right now.
So I'd be interested.
Yeah, I need to see him fight again. I mean, I know he's probably going to get a title shot next, but it don't really make sense to me.
But what you're saying is you don't think Aljo is going to leave this year the champ?
No.
Or his next fight?
No.
Okay, me neither.
I could see Max Holloway getting his belt back.
Yeah.
For Volkanovski.
I don't know if Volk and Max might have a couple of insane wars over the next year that are blockbusters.
Yeah.
But I think Volk, I don't know, I might see him walk out 2023. Yeah, maybe.
Lightweight could move around a bit. I could very much see Charles Oliveira being the champion by the end of the year, though. I think it's going to be the year after when you get the likes of Gamrot and Fiziev and Gillespie on the way up to the top. Like, if you look underneath Oliveira right now, Poirier's already beaten. I don't think Dariush is going to beat Makhachev, so that might be an option.
Yeah.
But I think currently Oliveira might have just a bit too much for Makhachev in the bookends of the game. I think Makhachev might be able to take him down and control him, but over 25 minutes, it'd be difficult to stay safe against Oliveira for him.
It surprised me when Poirier lost. I was expecting Poirier to be vintage Poirier, and I was expecting...
I just think he's too good.
I
just think he's too good. And then if you look down the division, the only one to really... I expect Makhachev to beat Dariush. I don't know. I just think he's going to have problems with Makhachev. And then you look down after that, and then you've got Chandler and Dos Anjos and Tony Ferguson that are just...
They're lower down.
Chandler maybe, but they're just, they're all kind of winding down.
Chandler's
they're not on the rise.
The Lions,
he has a little bit.
He has been.
He came ready for Lions, though, from Bellator in that record. Dan Hooker's moving to featherweight, isn't he?
Do you see Conor getting anywhere past Oliveira, or do you think he messes with him like a toddler?
I don't think Conor's got the weight of Brand anymore in the fight game. I think Brand outside the fight game, who he is as Conor McGregor,
like a Jake
for sure.
Paul thing.
But his brand amongst other lightweights. Like, not any one of those people that get a phone call and Conor McGregor's now on the other end of it, they're like, fucking yes.
Yeah.
Like, payday. Because they know what they're dealing with. It's better the devil than you know than the devil you don't.
Yeah.
Like, they know Conor McGregor is the devil. They know what he's very good at. Charles Oliveira is not going to even... Like, all that shit talking is just going to bounce off him. He's going to see Conor McGregor as a flawed fighter, like he's seen in his last couple of fights, and he'll take him apart. I think he'd be better to move up to welterweight and fight Diaz again, or face someone like a Chandler or Tony Ferguson, even Gaethje. I know Gaethje's ranked number 1, so that's not going to happen.
I think Tony would be interesting for Conor, because if you were Conor, it's not as Gaethje or Chandler.
Yeah.
They've got a snooker ball in a sock.
Yeah.
And they're going to want to take your head off. And they don't really get hurt themselves. I know they've been stopped, but...
It's like when we first started talking about Conor and you mentioned the cowboy fight, and you were like, can we... You kind of wrote it off.
Yeah.
The problem with Conor fighting someone like Tony Ferguson is there's the potential for people to do that. Like, that's why Conor needs to fight someone right up at the top, because then... If I lose to the number 1 contender, then, he's
still a name.
That's why he's at the top, and fuck it, I'll get him
step
back.
back into boxing.
Yeah,
do Fast and Furious 25.
It's like he's got to play that brand game and kind of bounce into the fights that are going to make more sense. he doesn't want to get on this ladder and start trying to climb up over these guys because there's some horrible fights there for. Like Dan Hooker would probably be a fucking nightmare for him. Makachev would absolutely be. I think Chandler would be an interesting one. RDA is a winnable fight for him, but not a lot to be gained.
But it has got
Connor's
a historic,
a big gambler.
Yeah,
you know, it makes more sense to go straight up to the top. Let's go with Gaethje. I know I can hit him. I've seen him get knocked out. I can replicate that. I don't think he gets anywhere with Charles Oliveira.
So Charles walks out this year. Okay, who's next?
Welterweight, Usman. Can anybody move him? I think we might be looking towards the end of the year. It depends on how quickly they push Chimaev, because he might end up with a title shot with one more win in this division.
It's not a bad idea.
And I couldn't count him out in that fight because I've not seen enough of his game. I've not seen enough of him struggle to feel like Usman's going to really cause him any real problems.
No.
You know what I mean? Like Usman likes to set a steady pace that he can eat away at his opponent at, and his striking's gotten much better.
Yeah.
But then is his striking being much better than Chimaev's is already? And we've not really seen much of it.
No.
I mean, the way he circled Meerschaert up against the fence and stopped him with that clean shot, that shows an ability to understand how to take space away from someone and
calculating the whole
all the time. Yeah. It's just the same as he is when he was grappling, like he was when he was on the leech. Like he's we were talking about it before. His ability to be present in there, you know, to be like, I'm here and I'm fine. I can pick him up. I'm carrying one of the top 15 across the fucking cage, and I'm talking to the commentators, and that's a different mindset.
And he already knows he's going to be finished within minutes. It's not like you think, I've got 15 minutes of this. It's literally, well, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that. He's big brother in him. And even when you look at Brunson and other people who are Brunson's in that division, right?
Middleweight Brunson.
Who are we on?
We're on welterweight.
Welterweight. Sorry.
Although Chimaev's kind of drifting.
That's what threw me off.
But like, you put Chimaev in the middleweight division. So in 271, you've got Adesanya against Whittaker in the main event. The co-main event is Jared Cannonier against Derek Brunson. Like, you could drop Chimaev in there,
all five,
and all of a sudden everyone's like, that co-main event's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm interested to see Cannonier against Brunson. I think it's a really interesting one. I think Chimaev puts the fear of God in Brunson.
Everyone.
I mean, maybe not so much Cannonier, because Cannonier's got his stones and he's, you know what I mean?
And he was heavyweight.
He was a fucking heavyweight. He punches like a heavyweight. But you know what I mean? Like, that's where, like, Chimaev as a brand, amongst other fighters, is a different
it's
thing.
Like a mystical thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just this unknown. It's like, you remember on Lost, the smoke that used to come in?
He's the polar bear on the tropical island, isn't he?
He's the polar bear fucking smoking the smoke. Is that all you got?
Yeah.
Which is, the thing is, because it's not the stereotypical pantomime theatre of American, English, whatever it is, it's just a lot more stoic, quiet. Well, I'm just going to fuck him up.
Yeah.
When I want.
Yeah.
Anything else? I'm done.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it is so, like, when I spoke to him in Fight Island, he was just like, yeah, you know, it's just how it is. It was just so matter of fact. Yeah. You believe it. You listen to him and you go, okay. That's why him at 10-0 is got more hype behind him than Sean Brady at 15-0.
Yeah.
Because Sean Brady doesn't do things quite so confidently and cockily.
He's got there, but it's not as
effortless as Chimaev has made it.
Yeah.
I don't think Covington's going to take the belt. I don't think Burns can take the belt off Usman. I think Leon can give him a hell of a fight, but I still lean towards Usman, Luque, Bilal Muhammad, Masvidal. We know how that happens. I don't see anybody in that division challenging him until Chimaev gets the opportunity. He's the only one in the division I think can really take the belt off.
It's a completely different fight for a minute.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I think Sean Brady against Chimaev, that's one of the fights I mentioned on the preview show. Interesting because it's easy to market because they're both undefeated fighters, but I don't think, like, you couldn't put Sean Brady in there against Usman and people would expect him to win.
No.
Even at 15-0. Yeah. But Chimaev, you're like, maybe.
But that's why the Cowboys are always good. Because, you know, it's like when Darren Till had a fight against Cowboy. Like, what?
Yeah.
Darren Till's from England? Oh,
well,
I love a British fighter.
That Cowboy plays at the moment,
but it's awesome. But we need it across almost everything. Because like, your Masvidal's good for it, or your Gilbert Burns is kind of getting to that point. Even Colby to a degree. Because the problem is, it's like when people call Colby out and he's like, you're not fucking big enough for me. You know, when he's standing across him, no one is not too big for him.
no.
Everyone on the roster has earned their place.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Chimaev against Covington would be a hell of a fight, but it would be a rough one for Covington. Unless Chimaev's got a limited gas tank that we haven't yet seen.
That's the thing.
And if you push him to the end of the third round, he starts to look a bit ragged. That's the only thing that we haven't really seen. You know, he's just made it look too easy.
Yeah.
Like the Hermansson wrestling match was interesting, but you know that went a couple of rounds and,
in his boots and jeans.
yeah, why not?
I smash. Stop.
So middleweight, Adesanya, Whittaker. Can Whittaker beat Adesanya? Take his belt back?
Unless
I'd like to see it, just because I think a trilogy match would be good there.
I
because
really like
Adesanya
Rob.
stopped him the first time,
Yeah.
pretty bad, wasn't it?
Well, it was so calculated. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
you did this, I'm going to do that. And
Yeah.
it was the way that Rob went down. And obviously, before that, I know there's a load of stuff up in the air, like, oh no, he's taken out both his lungs and given them to his daughter, or he's had all his blood drained out to donate to charity, or some shit. But I think he was just worn out.
Psychologically, he just wasn't. He didn't want to be there. He was like, you know, I remember talking to him before he fought against Till, and he was like, I remember. He was like running up sand dunes. He was doing conditioning. He was like, I remember running up this sand dune this one day, and I was like, why am I doing this? I've had enough of doing it. And he said he just kind of lost momentum, like psychologically. But then he's looked a lot better in his last couple of fights.
When you watch him against Till, he wasn't in any danger at any point, and it was a good fight. It was a really good fight. But he looked like he was touching his foot on his calf, just back to normal, a bit more flowy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it is always money or whatever, because obviously everyone's trying to do something to achieve.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying to be greedy, but to survive.
But if you look at the last circumstance when Whittaker went in against Adesanya, first of all, he's come off 2 wars with Yoel Romero, which decimated one of his legs.
Yeah.
Second of all, he's fighting the guy who's the interim champ, who everyone is celebrating like he's the long-time reigning king of the division. And they're fighting in Australia, right? It was that massive event, that 50,000 odd people with it. Like, he's supposed to be the champion, right? You know, people were supposed to be coming to watch him to celebrate him.
Months before.
He was supposed to be the guy that was celebrated on the night, and it already felt like Adesanya was the defending champion, as well as him not really having the motivation like he did in the Romero fight.
Just have it. I'm not that fussed.
But what was uncharacteristic of him is that he was chasing forward. He was rushing at Adesanya, and that was what he'd been dealing with against Yoel Romero.
Yeah.
It was almost like he'd taken on some of those attributes, but it just didn't suit him, and Adesanya was able to set him up. I don't think he's the same fighter again. I think he's a different fighter.
Izzy this time?
I think we might see a decision, and I could see it being very much like Adesanya against Gastelum. I could see it being that kind of fight where it's around and then around and then around, and we're like, holy shit, championship rounds. I don't know. I'm not sure.
What about if
winning.
Rob goes full Jan Blachowicz?
What takes him down?
Yeah.
That could definitely be something that would win him some rounds. Like Whittaker's been doing a lot of grappling recently.
His grappling's good, and Izzy's isn't. I'm not saying it's bad.
Still holes in his game,
yeah,
for sure.
There's gaps.
He's an excellent striker,
without a doubt.
There are holes in his ground game. Like against Jan Blachowicz, even though Jan's a bigger guy and a better grappler, there were still simple things that Adesanya was doing that were just wrong.
Yeah.
Like just things that if I saw someone doing it on the mat this morning at the gym, I'm like, no, dude, it's always this way.
Yeah, don't put your hand down.
Yeah.
Don't kneel that way. Not flat foot.
There were just some odd things he was doing. When he was in half guard bottom, he was controlling Jan's inside leg with the wrong one, and I don't know. It was just a lack of a...
It's not like he was doing it in a quirky way that was like,
No.
I know you're not meant to do this, but da-da. It was more...
No.
It looked out of his depth.
Yeah, a little bit.
And obviously Jan's he's like a fridge.
Oh, Jan's a beast. He is. You know, that was a big step up for Adesanya. I respect him for doing it. And I think Whittaker could have that same kind of success, but Adesanya's takedown defense has gotten better. I think with Jan, he played the game very well because he drug it out until he decided he was going to take it down.
Was it a third?
It was
third
a
or
third
fourth,
round.
and just started, piling it
and like
on.
for 2 rounds, the commentators are going, why is Jan striking with him? This is a bit weird. It's a bit, and it was kind of 50-50 up to that point. Yeah, for
Worked
sure.
really well.
I could see Adesanya keeping a hold of his belt. I don't think there's anybody in this division. Andre Muniz is the one I'm keeping an eye on.
Who's the guy that beat him in K1? What's his name?
Oh, of course, Pereira. We've not even talked about Pereira.
Dude.
Fucking well done. I should have mentioned him on the preview video.
Yo,
I'm like, can't
it's
believe
gonna be in the comments.
But the thing is, it's because he's not ranked. I just worked
Yeah,
on the
of
people that
course.
are ranked. But yeah, Alex. I mean, the only downside is that he's only had 4 fights. I think he's had 4 MMA fights.
Would you be mad if he got a title shot next?
Yeah, fucking
You would?
furious. Of course. Yeah.
I kind of love that.
I
shit.
want to see
love
the process. I
know,
want to see the process.
I do, but I also like seeing. It's like when Johnny Walker came in. If we'd have just locked him in the cage with John and just to see, because he might get his head smashed in, but when he was a bit more carefree and just a little bit more like, I want to show you my backflip.
Yeah.
I might kick someone in the face. But now he's been hurt, it makes him a bit more cautious. If I can get him straight in there, and Adesanya still got that, you embarrass me.
So, but like Prochazka's in that similar kind of situation. He's only had 2 fights in the UFC, but he's come in and he's smashed a couple of people.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck it. Throw him
And
in
he trains in the jungle.
Yeah.
I want to see. That's what I want to see. I want to see him come out of just like a smoke-filled yurt.
Who's your wild card at light heavyweight then? Because as much as I love Glover and would love to see him have a good 12 months, I don't think he's going to hold the belt for very long, is he?
Is John not itching to come back? Like he's literally sat back and watched Jan have the belt, and he's thinking, "That's my belt."
I think he's waiting and hoping that Cyril Gane deals with Ngannou, and then Ngannou moves over to boxing.
Do you reckon?
And then John will be like, "Yeah, I'll come and have a technical matchup with this kickboxer."
I'll go back to 205.
Yeah.
Who do I see?
John Jones still comes in and takes the belt.
Of course he does.
There's still no. Yuri Prochazka, I think he's probably going to take the belt off Teixeira, but Magomed Ankalaev is the one I'm keeping my eyes on.
Yeah.
He's fucking scary, that guy. He's like that loss to Paul Craig. You can imagine what that does to his soul.
And anyone with
Like,
an
he's
Ev at the end of their name,
it's
like
you're gonna
who?
get
No,
you're gonna get
I'm
smashed
poorly.
through the bottom corner of the fence where it meets the
that crease.
But the thing I like about Ankalaev is that he doesn't use that if he doesn't want to. Like he's got that if he needs it.
Yeah.
He's a fucking good striker.
But that's the difference. That's the terrifying element of someone who's got a game plan, and the game plan doesn't involve 3 rounds.
Yeah.
The game plan involves the first 2 minutes, and if I've not got you out of there after that, I'm disappointed in myself.
I wonder if Prochazka takes the belt off Teixeira and then Jan's able to take the belt off Prochazka.
Maybe because
And we've got a bit of a love triangle going on.
because it's like, when you look at John's last opponents when we were there, it's Maheta, what's his name?
Oh, Thiago Santos.
Next big thing, smashed John's legs up, but we've seen him lose since. Same as Reyes.
Lost to Teixeira.
Yeah, Reyes looking amazing, then lost to Jan.
Yeah.
So that there's these guys that it's even like, is it Ion Cutelabra? When he came in, you're like,
Yeah.
a bit like that Houston Alexander moment, or like
Mate,
when
I thought he was going to do damage.
Yeah.
Houston Alexander.
His head was like-
it Keith Jardine that he fucking murdered up against the fence?
he strangled him
Oh, it was
and knocked
bad,
him out.
that was.
Oh,
He was like, I remember when he came into the UFC and it was like, he's been fighting on this underground
he's got
circuit.
57
and
kids.
Yeah.
He's from Houston. His name's Houston. His forehead is 3 times the size of anyone else.
Yeah, right?
He was a fucking animal. So who we got for light heavyweight? So we don't think that Glover's leaving. What would it surprise you if Glover had a defense and then retired? Or do you think there's too much bite in his bit?
Yeah, no, I don't think he's going to do that. I think if he defends, he'll stick around and have another one. Yeah, no, I don't think he'd do that. I think if he loses the belt, he might retire.
Okay.
But I don't think,
But then we'll see him in
he wouldn't
Bellator.
retire with the belt, no chance.
No.
I think Prochazka probably going to take the belt off Teixeira, but I don't know if Prochazka's going to hold the belt. I think him and Ankalaev might be fighting for it before the year's out. Like the guys coming up, the Jimmy Crutes, Ryan Spans, Jamal Hills, they're just not quite ready yet. I'd probably say the same about Paul Craig, but he could be close in a couple of fights.
Yeah.
He's probably going to have to fight Ankalaev again, though, and that was a really rough 14 and a half minutes.
You almost want to call that credit. You're like, remember, I beat him. It says win.
Yeah.
Please don't let me do it again.
And the thing is, that would be a really rough fight because Ankalaev would make a point of it.
He's got a
like,
point to
all
prove.
right, motherfuckers,
I'm
try
gonna
and
triangle
triangle
you.
this time. Yeah. Heavyweight, I don't even think Ngannou's going to be with the UFC in a year's time, to be honest.
It's sketchy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
They're
just a bit of a
falling out
weird
lot.
time. I would like to see him stick around because I would love to see him fight John Jones.
So what about Stipe? Have we written
I
Stipe
don't
completely
know.
off? Is his chin gone?
He's been out for so long. He's going to have a fight before he gets a title shot. Like, I did this on the preview show. I kind of went through this process and I'm like, fuck. So Derek Lewis is a big puncher who he could quite easily beat up for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
But he quite easily get clipped
Caught
with one shot and put
he
out.
does get hit.
He does get
hit.
And he's been knocked out a good few times now. DC dropped him.
Yeah.
Ngannou's cleaned his clock. Like, I would rather see him fight someone that's not going to not going to try and take his head off.
Yeah.
Just
for
get him back
longevity
in
of
there.
like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
all right now.
Like, but then you look down the rankings. Curtis Blades would be just a long night of wrestling takedown defense.
Yeah.
Alexander Volkov might give him nightmares from the Struve loss.
Yeah.
Because he did struggle with the reach, and Volkov's much better at using his reach.
And he never fought anyone long since Struve. I know, obviously, that was the same night.
No, because there aren't many.
No.
Rosenstrike's a coin toss again. Chris Daukaus might be a good one, but him coming off a loss, that's a big jump down the rankings.
How good did Lewis look?
I mean, that's why I don't think anybody's fighting him until I think he'll fight for the belt next.
Do you think he'll have another go?
I do. I mean,
I'd still love to watch it.
If Cyril Gane beats him, then it slows Derek Lewis's roll down, because that was a fight that people have seen recently, and they're not, Derek Lewis against Ngannou again, people will forget the first one and they'll be like, that first one was a fucking stinker. This one's got to be better.
This is going to be the best. So who's walking out of 23 into 23 with the belt?
Cyril Gane.
Really?
Yeah, I'll stick with Cyril Gane. Yeah.
I will take Derek Lewis.
Oh, okay.
Or Tai Tuivasa.
Oh, mate.
I love a bit of Tai Tuivasa.
Tai Tuivasa against Rosenstrike is a fight they've got to make.
Tai against anyone.
Yeah.
It's just gold.
He's brilliant.
It's gold. It's having that naughty kid at a party that he just entertains everyone, so you can't be mad at the fact he's caused £300 worth of damage. Do you know what I mean? He ate the whole cake. Yeah, but good times, right?
Yeah, but he's drinking juice out of his shoe, and that's funny, and the kids like it.
He'll grow out of it.
Rose, does she stay at the top of the strawweight division?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, you reckon?
And if she doesn't, if she loses it this year, she'll have it back this year.
You reckon?
She's against Carla, right? Aren't they playing against Carla?
Yeah, I think she beats Carla. I think the one I'm watching out for is Marina Rodriguez. I think she's problems, and I think she might have a style that could be problematic for Rose if she keeps it on the feet. Yeah? Yeah. Just because she's a bit taller and rangier, and Rose has got a longer, wider stance. I don't know. I think it's an interesting matchup.
And Wei Li as well. Wei Li back in there?
I wouldn't be surprised if she moves up a weight class, to be honest.
Just have a go.
Yeah.
It's a normal move, isn't it? Uh-huh. Lost twice.
They're a bit thinner contenders up a weight class, if you look. I mean, Valentina's had 6 title defenses. So she's beaten Andrade, Chikagian. How many? 6.
I thought you said 16. I was about to say.
No, 6 title defenses. So she's waiting for number 5 contender Tyler Santos to get another win, in my opinion. Otherwise, there's nobody in that division, which means that I think Shevchenko might. Yeah, I think that'd be a good one. Or Shevchenko against Pena if Nunes doesn't want to fight again immediately.
That'd be cool.
I think Nunes gets a belt back, and I think she retires as champ.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think Shevchenko does as well, and I think Rose does.